Term time is delayed for many school children across England, with the Education Secretary telling us this morning that he is hopeful those primary schools that do not have a return date at the moment will reopen. I'm joined now by Paul Whiteman, General Secretary of the National Association of Head Teachers. And Paul, thank you for joining us this morning. When I was speaking to the Education Secretary, he suggested that a week was enough time to have set up a fully functioning testing system. Do you agree with him?
That's not what the members that I represent are telling me. Putting a testing centre together that requires 7 distinct roles for staff to undertake. We're told through the government's guidance that it will take 9 staff some 3 hours to test 100 pupils. This is a huge undertaking, and it's a huge undertaking that directs attention away from the education effort. And what we've been saying to government for some time now is if education really is the priority that you say it is, stop laying duty upon duty upon duty on schools. Let them get on with the education effort and bring support in to undertake these tasks. We accept that mass testing could be a game changer for schools, but we can't administer mass testing and educate at the same time. So we really need some support.
With all of that in mind, and given the fact that so much of the country is now seeing Tier 4 restrictions, do you think schools should reopen?
Not until we're ready to do so. So we were talking to government about 3 weeks before the Christmas break, 3 weeks before the end of term, looking at the data, looking at the indications, particularly around secondary schools, and saying then make the decision now that there'll be a later opening so that we can plan during those weeks to have an orderly return to school properly supported. And yet again, the government makes a decision at the very last minute when there's no time to plan and no time to react to that decision. And a decision that schools and local authorities were trying to take on their own account shortly before Christmas, and then the government threatened them with legal action for trying to organise an orderly arrangement for education. This polarised debate about school gates are open and therefore education is happening, or school gates are closed and education doesn't happen, is misleading. What school leaders need is the flexibility to make good education decisions about those children that they teach at home, those that can be best taught at home, and those children that need to be in front of a teacher face to face to make sure that we can really deliver education. It's not just about gates open and gates closed, and this fixation with the gates are open or closed isn't helping us with that education effort. And the worry about primary schools too. The big debate has been about the announcement over secondary schools. We've got about 15% of primary schools closed right now. Now, with this new variant, we don't know what direction that's taken and how infectious younger children are to adults in the community and to each other. And until we understand that, we need to take care with primary. Why should we wait until we're at another tipping point with another area of the population before we make good decisions? So we want children in school. Children need to be in school, but let's organise an orderly and safe return to school rather than making a mess of it at every turn.
And on remote learning, ahead of the first national lockdown, there was a promise that those children who needed access to the internet, who needed laptops, they would be delivered. A lot of questions, a lot of criticism that didn't materialise. Are you confident that those children who will have to remote learn will have access to things like Wi-Fi and a laptop in order to be able to study effectively?
Well, not all of the kit has been delivered yet, and I noticed in the Secretary of State's statement yesterday the promise to deliver even more of the 1 million devices that were promised still fell short of that 1 million promise. So there are more out there, but the members I represent tell me that they're not arriving on time. And we have to also get away from just talking about learning at home being through computers. Not every child learns well through that medium, and what we've got to do is allow school leaders and teachers the freedom to build learning packages that really deliver for the children that they're teaching. So let's get the kit out there, but let's not be fixated just about kit. Let's have a proper conversation about what learning at home can look like. It will never replace face-to-face teaching, and we do need to get that orderly return organised. But in the meantime, while we organise that orderly return, let's do the very best that we can. Get the kit out there. The government needs to deliver it, but let's not be fixated on that as the only delivery channel, especially for younger children.